Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Here.
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 Here. Here.
We have a quorum. There is there is one addition to the agenda, an item regarding a land lease, which Guy Taylor will address regarding MnDOT wanting a temporary kind of lease, so we'll get to that. The first item, though, on the agenda is Wellhead Protection Plan public hearing, and call upon Guy Taylor to introduce that.
Good morning. Thank you, Your Honor. As I mentioned before when we set this hearing, we implemented a wellhead protection plan back in 2017. We're required to update that every 10 years, and so we're going to start that process. And to describe what we're going to be doing and walk us through it a little bit is Dan Disrud from the Department of Health.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, council members, again, my name is Dan Disrud. I'm a source water protection planner with the Minnesota Department of Health. Again, thank you for your support in the surface water plan that was recently approved. Now we're moving on to the groundwater plan, since we have the communities relying on both groundwater and surface water as the drinking water source. So the groundwater plan is based on Minnesota Rule 4720, and there's certain procedures, which includes this public information meeting. It's trying to help with the transparency and hopefully getting civic engagement with this process. As Guy mentioned, this is not new to the city. About 10 years ago, we went through this process. The plan is a 10-year plan. It's time to amend it. So we haven't approved Part 1. Part 1 is the science of where the water comes from. MDH did that work. We did the delineation and the vulnerability assessment. Up on the screen, you can see the DWSMA, Drinking Water Supply Management Area, for the groundwater for the community. The red line is depicting the modeling that was done to show a 1-year time of travel to get to the well. The blue line is the 10-year time of travel to get to the well. Again, 10-year time of travel is the minimum that is required in order to delineate those DWSMAs. But again, this is what's going on under the ground, and what we've done is they snap that out to streets, visibly identifiable features on the ground in order to have a protection area. So that's your yellow area, which is called DWSMA. So if you help with the next slide. How is that different from the previous delineation? It's much smaller. One of the new changes as far as the modeling is they took away the surface water contribution area. So just the moderate vulnerability of the DWSMA, nothing that is anything as far as what the city is doing wrong or anything. It's the geology, the hydrogeology of the area, and understanding that that clay layer is leaky. But there is not a problem, and they took away that surface water contribution area, which makes the protection area quite a bit smaller. So why do we do these drinking water protection plans? Again, hopefully it's your community safety, it's your community health, but it's also asset protection for the city for the long term. Why do we do this? Recognition that the protection is much less expensive than treatment, removing contaminants, and removing problems. So why do we amend it after 10 years? That's just a requirement, just recognizing that there's new modeling, there's new studies out there, there's new data. There are new partnerships to engage. There might be lessons learned that we are incorporating, as well as the last plan. There's some accomplishments that we can take off the books and move on. So what's next? We'll be working with Guy as far as a scoping 2 event, notifying the partners that we anticipate that will be engaging through the plan. We'll be selecting a plan writer, and eventually really talking about what's appropriate as far as strategies for the next 10 years. After the plan is drafted, that will be sent out to partners for review. We will be holding a public hearing at that point, asking for the city to take action as far as approving it, and then it'd be sent to the state partners and requesting a state approval. So that process will be approximately a year, but again, the intent is that we're not going to let your old plan expire. We're going to amend the plan and get you set up for the success for the next 10 years. Yep, local partners, obviously, we have DWISMAs that oftentimes extend outside the jurisdiction of the city, so typically townships, obviously the county. Most often, as far as what makes, when we talk about activities appropriate, oftentimes you get into land use controls. So again, soil and water conservation districts, engaging producers, homeowners on lakes. Oftentimes there's lake associations, but again, partners will also include getting input from the DNR, Board of Soil and Water Conservation District, Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of either Guy or Dan? If not, what action do we need from this?
None at this point.
None at this point. So it's informational. Technically, do we open it for any of the members of the public to, as it's a public hearing?
Yeah, it was a misunderstanding. I thought we would be, but
We-
that'll be coming after the scoping meeting that Dan talked about.
Okay, right. Okay, so we can move on. Right, the next item on the agenda is overview of TIF District 418 and business subsidy. Jason Murray, this is relative to Northwoods Industrial Services. Thank you. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Whoops. Hopefully everybody can hear me all right. I'll move that just around. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just thought it'd be a good opportunity before Monday night's public hearing just to kind of give you an overview of the TIF district, the project, and kind of our relationship in this. Being this is our first new relationship or first TIF district with the city, I thought it'd be a good opportunity for council to have a little discussion here this morning on the proposed TIF district. Also, my comments will stick most to the TIF district. If there's project-related questions, I may deflect to Clara or James, city staff, just to answer some of those project-related questions. So I'll jump into it, council. You have my letter and TIF plan in your packet, along with business subsidy summary. Because this potential assistance is going to be over $150,000, there is a business subsidy component, which means jobs and wages requirements. That will be part of the public hearing on Monday night. The project itself is a new 22,000 square foot facility on a single parcel adjacent to SCR Solutions. And so the TIF plan outlines that. Council, I'll just kind of make a few comments here before I jump into my letter. On the TIF plan, it is a one parcel TIF district associated with this manufacturing expansion. It is an economic development TIF district. We'll talk a little bit about the specifics of that here in a minute as I get into my letter. And then finally, it sets the budget of about $556,000 of a max collection of increment and expenditures over the 9-year life of this TIF district. And so I make a comment in my letter. Keep in mind, council, that the TIF plan governs how the city uses the increment. The development agreement, subsequent development agreement that will be drafted by Mary Ipple, Taft Law Firm, will define that relationship if approved by council, will define the relationship between the developer and the city. How much, how long, eligible expenses, those type of activities for this development. So jumping into my letter, Mayor and Council, first and foremost, there's really three components I just want to make sure that we walk through, and that's the determination of the eligibility for the TIF district, the but-for finding, and then finally that market value analysis. And that market value analysis is part of the TIF plan as Exhibit 5. I've shared a little bit about the background of the project. The developer is requesting $295,000 over the life of this TIF district to assist this project. There is a subsequent kind of source and use statement in the back. Keep in mind that A lot of developers will make TIF a source and use, declaration. But as I note in my summary there on the exhibit in my letter, this is payment over time, so it's not an upfront. And so I want to be clear with the council that the TIF plan and the subsequent development agreement will be as a pay-as-you-go situation, meaning you will pay potentially the developer 90% of the increment over the life of this TIF district each year based on the increment collections. Sometimes developers will put the request and consider TIF as a source and use, and that's considered more of that upfront, or if the city's fronting these dollars to the development. That's not happening with this situation. This is a strictly a pay-as-you-go relationship with this developer. The developer states some business subsidy components, which we'll talk about, job increase, job creation, increase in local tax base, diversity of business and tax here in the community, and then the fulfillment of the city's development objectives, which I believe is further development of the city's industrial park. Again, type of TIF district, this is an economic development. Manufacturing does qualify, and this is a manufacturing component business, so no issues as far as the use of economic development tax increment financing. So based on the facility being manufacturing, we believe it fits as a eligible TIF project. But for, this is where a lot of discussion takes place as far as but for this assistance, this project would not move forward. The developer has disclosed that in the application to the city and subsequent requests saying this assistance is needed to further this project. We generally look at three to four things. We analyze project scope, we look at pro forma analysis, and then we also look at the equity contribution as part of the project. And in this case, I break that down for you, council, in my letter. Project scope, we find it to be within the realms of similar sized projects as far as a cost per square foot. Thus the comparison information obtained from the project and external sources, it meets that. So we don't see an excessive project here as far as when you break it down to a project per square foot component basis. Pro forma, we tend to take a look at debt service coverage ratio. I like to use debt service coverage ratio mainly because that's established by the bank. It's not something our firm or the city establishes to meet the lending requirement part of this project. It's a bank established ratio, and in this case, the bank's going to be requiring a 125 debt service coverage, and you can see by my analysis with and without the TIF assistance. And basically, I look at a 3-year stabilization and then the full TIF district. And so you can look at the 3-year stabilization. That debt service coverage is just over, is about 1.3. Over the life of the TIF district is 1.7, based on the numbers that I have received from the developer and in doing my due diligence in walking through and review of this TIF district. So I also like to just look at a quick cash on cash. It measures the equity. You can see it with and without there through the life of this TIF district, both on that stabilization and the life of the TIF district. And then finally, the equity contribution, roughly the equity contribution. And this is looking at bank financing and basically the total project cost of about $3.6 million. Let me just find my summary here quick. Sorry, flip through some pages here. This is looking at just bank financing and the owner contribution. I do want to make sure that I believe the applicant is moving through some Minnesota Investment Fund with the city, some process with that to secure some loan through Minnesota through deed. However, that is not part of my analysis because it's not committed yet. So I left that piece of the financing out of it. It's either going to, that piece of it, from my understanding, is either going to reduce the bank debt, which most likely, because it comes at a higher interest rate, they'll reduce that borrowing from the bank or potentially reduce their equity contribution. But being that the interest rates are a little bit higher on the bank side of it, my guess, I haven't spoke to the developer on this, is that they'll be using that Minnesota Investment Fund to offset the bank commitment for the financing on this. And then Moving into the market value analysis, as I stated, that's an exhibit on page, or Exhibit 5 of the last page of the TIF plan. That finding has been made and does meet the use of the statutory requirements for tax increment. Because this is a business subsidy component, I did take a look at the city's business subsidy policy. Just to further it, looking at job creation there, talking about 10 new jobs at about $30 per hour. That'll be part of the agreement, both from the TIF side and if they pursue the Minnesota investment side, the deed loan. Those components will be measured. Increase in tax base. I did have the county assessor take a look at this based on this project, based on the preliminary cost and project layout. It's about $2.7 million new market value. Though that number also assisted in generating the TIF plan and some of the budget numbers in the TIF plan. Attraction of new business linkages. This will support the expansion of SCR. Highest and best land use, obviously expanding and further the city's industrial park goals, and then the but-for, which we just went through. Last piece of it, council, I did put a summary of the relationship between the developer and the city as part of the terms. Generally, this being my first relationship with the city, sometimes we like to have that contract as part of the TIF plan. Again, Monday night, public hearing. We'd move forward with public hearing and then subsequently ask council to both approve the TIF plan and the business subsidy agreement or the contract with the developer. In this case, being this my first one, I thought we'd walk through this process, make sure council's comfortable with it, and then we'll engage Mariupol once we get through the public hearing, and if council so chooses to move forward with the establishment of this TIF district, that'll be a subsequent measure that the council will take up at a later meeting, that formal contract. But that there's a summary in there that is basically a quick summary of the relationship between the developer and the city, and that. So there's just a couple things I know in reviewing past questions of council, just on some of the TIF process and that stuff. This the max relationship with this would be $295,000 paid over. We would be signing some interest to it. The city has generally looked at both. When I say interest, they've assigned interest to some of the pay-go relationships because again, you're paying this developer over time with the use of increments. So sometimes in the case of financing, you assign that interest rate or an interest associated with that payment over time. And in this case, it'd be $295,000 at 6%. And the city would agree to pay out 90% of what it receives on an annual basis. That's strictly set by the county's value and tax rates at the time. The 10% would be retained by the city for administrative purposes, for TIF reporting and other administrative requirements. In the past, I believe council has questioned the use of TIF to reimburse administrative expenses, legal costs, city staff time. As I stated in there, traditionally the city has not allowed that as an eligible expense. I think that was a question that came up at one of the last TIF public hearings about the ability to reimburse some of those expenses. It has not traditionally been listed in the contracts with the city and past developers that those administrative costs be covered by increment or be allowed to be covered by increment to reimburse the developer. And then finally, there was some questions at one of the last public hearings just on understanding how much each entity potentially would kick into this TIF district over time. So on the last page there, number 4, just tried to show you the breakdown. Again, tax rates and things, even though we create the TIF district over time, tax rates do tend to, we freeze the tax rate, but market values will move, tax rates will move. In fact, just over the last few years, just on looking at some of the city's existing TIF districts, that tax rate that was frozen and created, that, and where the TIF district is today, is significantly lower. So those things move, but based on what we know today, roughly about $228,000 would be the city of Fergus Falls portion of this $295,000 projected with this TIF plan. So with that, Mayor and Council, I'll pause for any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Wonderful presentation. I support this project. I have a few questions technically. Again, number one, your presentation was above anything I've listened to for a long time here. You indicated on the jobs, you will monitor those jobs. What happens if those jobs don't develop?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Layton, there's a clause that's usually a default clause in the contract that would state that if the jobs aren't created, the developer would be then in default, and this council has options, and at that point, they can extend the agreement, provide some additional time to meet those jobs, or at the other end of it, cancel the agreement, cancel the TIF district, and walk away from the relationship. So jobs will be a component of it. They are monitored specifically if because there's a state program involved with this, they will be monitored. They will have to do some reporting.
I found the construction costs to be most in line with this project. At $100 and some a square foot, that was remarkable.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Council Member, yes, it's based on our information. It's right in there. It's close, based on a range, and it does come into play. Is it metal? Is it pre-con? You know, is it? There's some of those factors in there. I tried to look at it as an apples to apples building comparison. So,
Again, a wonderful presentation. I'm in favor of this project. Thank you very much.
Mike, you had a question?
I think so, Your Honor. I appreciate it. Not so much a question. Thank you, Mr. Murray, for being here today. I think you're exactly what we want for this council and for this city. Your explanation of TIF today, the way you went through it, educated me beyond anything that I'd had with TIF before. So I appreciate that very much. I think the thing that I want the public to know is that this isn't a fancy economic development deal here, but this is a solid economic development deal for this city. And these are the kind of deals and the kind of expansions and the kind of economic growth that will drive this city forward. I mean, it's not fancy like a new Chipotle's or different things like that, but it is solid. And I think the other thing that the city should know is that without the strong work of staff and Dr. Lehman and the economic development, and the mayor and the council doing land and all the different parts that we did to this, we really had a risk of possibly losing this corporation to another community. And I think the ability for the city to step in now and reverse that is a testament to what the future will bring for other economic development. So I want the city to know that, hey, we're not just giving something away here. We're strengthening the city, strengthening this business so we can have others and grow. The other thing I just want to say is for all the companies here in the city that are watching, now is the time. Now is the time to grow. Now is the time to do the things that you maybe wanted to do. We have the right people in place economically, and I think if they're looking to do it, now is the time. Reach out to the city.
Thank you. Any other questions for Laurel?
I see that the TIF plan is a one parcel plan. That's the new parcel. There's no intent to combine the existing parcel with that, so the existing building will still be getting taxed as normal. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember, yes, that is my understanding that that'll stay separate. These are, my understanding, separate ownership parcels. So we did not include, or I did not include the existing SCR operations in this TIF plan. So because it appeared to be a standalone based on the plans and specs that were submitted. So.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just wanted to, I don't have a question, I just want to make a comment also, kind of on the backside of Mike here, Councilmember Mortensen. It is the time. So there's other businesses in town that have looked at expanding, and I think that's going to happen also. So I think that those of you who are listening, business owners or want to startups, now is the time to do this. And I see great things coming for Fergus Falls.
Right. Thank you with that. Thank you, Jason. I don't think there's any action. It's just going to be on Monday night's agenda, and we'll probably see you again on Monday evening.
Yep, we'll be here on Monday night, and so, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, will hold the public hearing. Then I will be asking at a point in time on the agenda to approve the TIF plan and move this forward. So
Great, thank you very much.
thank you. See you Monday.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is RTC roof update. Call upon Kyle Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Just a quick update on the RTC roof update. Just wanted to let you know that we're finishing up a bidding package for putting together plans and specs to put out to bids for the roof and windows on the RTC. So we're getting really close to having that completed. Over the next week or so, we'll go through with Guy Taylor on that, just finish that up, and then we'll start advertising that for bids. So you'll see that in the next couple of weeks, getting that advertisement out and then putting that up for bids.
Your Honor, I got one question. Where's the funding going to come from in this?
We have complete funding for that. I don't recall the agency that we got the money through.
Right, but there is money there.
But there is
Yeah.
money that's set aside, just under $400,000 that we actually need to use up. Otherwise, we'll lose it. So
good.
that's where the money's coming from.
Mr. Myers, thank you for your time. As your contract goes out to if you will, a roofer who would do the roof, I believe there was earlier conversation in this council is, let me start over. The earlier conversations was, why are we putting on a roof on a foundation or a building that's not worth saving? Will that contractor look at the conditions of the facility first or as well during this, or would that be independent?
That would be independent. We'll have the contractor, as he takes the materials off the roof, we'll have him look at the roof. The building itself will not be looked at, just the roof of the building.
Do we have any indication from a contractor of the condition of the walls and the foundation?
No, that will not be part of this contract.
And we don't have one in file?
I have not seen one.
In 2021, there was a plan, a review that was done of the building, and it was found at that point to be structurally sound.
I missed that, I'm sorry.
She said in 2021, a foundation and structural was looked at, and it was found to be sound.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions regarding that? If not, we will move on to city project update.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I'm going to run through project updates. There's going to be a lot going on, and we want to make sure that we're keeping everybody up to date on what's happening. So one of those things that we do have, and this is what we implemented last year, so anyone listening, you can go on the city website. If you click on the Utility Projects tab, that will bring you to this page, and I don't know if this shows up on the YouTube or not, but it will bring you to a story map page, which will show all of the different construction projects that we have going on in town, and we keep this updated on a weekly basis. So if you look at the map, the full map, you can see it's got the different number systems on there for each project. We have 14 different projects that we're looking at happening at some point in time this construction season. So those are the projects that we'll be managing this season. So I'll run through all of those just to tell everybody where we're at and what's going on. So the first one's Highway 10 interchange project. So that has started now. I'm sure you've all noticed that. They're starting with removals. That's happening right now. Just been going on for a couple of weeks, but the big thing there is that interchange is shut down now and closed and will remain closed throughout the summer. And the bridge across the interstate, that will maintain traffic throughout the project. So we'll kind of keep you up to date on what's happening there as project goes and as we get information from MnDOT. That is a MnDOT project, not a city project. Then moving on to the next project, the Lake Alice Grit Chamber. That project has not started yet. It's going to start mid-June with construction. We have notified those houses around the lake there. We are currently right now lowering the lake level. So if you've noticed that, and the homeowners may have noticed that, but we did get letters out to the homeowners to notify them that, hey, we are lowering the lake level for construction, and then we'll bring it back up once construction is completed. The downtown Otter Tail Valley rail crossings, that project is going to get started right after Memorial Day. They're going to start on Cascade with that crossing, and then move on to the other crossings, but Cascade will be the first one, so Cascade will be the first one to shut down. So that's going to start the Tuesday right after Memorial Day. And we're going to have two different contractors that will be working on this. Tyzac Construction will be doing the road work and concrete work, and then there will be a separate contractor that underneath Tyzac that will do the actual railroad crossings, and they do about one crossing per week is what it takes them. So each one of those crossings will take about a week to do, and then right behind it will be the concrete work and road work to tie it all back in. So that project will get going on right after Memorial Day. Next project on the list is Cavor. Cavor, the contractor that's doing Cavor is actually working on Cleveland right now, and maybe just kind of touch on Cleveland first because that's the one they're working on. So they've started on they've done all of the removals on Cleveland. They've started utilities on the south side of Cleveland, and it's going very well. They've got about 2 blocks of utilities completed already. They will start over and start tying in some of the services to the homes, and then continue moving to the north. So that project's going well. And then they're actually going to start doing removals on Cavor again, I think May 28th, so that's coming up quick here. And so we have sent letters out to those businesses on Cavor when we got the contract started, but we'll send additional letters out to notify them that we're going to get in there now and start doing some removals. So,
Your Honor, I think Laura, the parking lots are not blue, but they are going to get replaced?
Correct. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
And maybe we can update that. But yes, the 3 parking lots on the north side of the alleyways, those will all be replaced as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Just on that, has Otter Tail Power and all that, the utility work that was in there, is that now complete?
That's complete. Yep.
We-
Yep.
The
So
last thing we want to do is
so
dig it
that will
up.
all get cleaned up. As you've driven around that area, there's some crossings through the streets that's all tore up, and it's been tore up for almost a year now. The alleyway is all tore up. That will all get fixed up and will be brand new. Okay, moving on to Junius. Junius, for the most part, is complete. There's a little bit of concrete work that the contractor has to come back and finish up on Junius. I think over the next month that work will get completed.
Is the final coat done?
And final lift of asphalt. Yep. Okay. The landfill project, the contractor's out there working right now on the landfill. We're getting close to the final elevation of the new cell out there. This last week, we did run into some organic material that we have to move out first before we finish up and start working on compaction. That organic material that we ran into, we did not know that it was there, but within the contract, we did have it in there to remove organic material if we ran into it. So that is part of the contract that we'll be able to do. So that'll take about maybe 3 extra days here to remove some of that material, and then we'll start working on compaction of the liner for cell 3B.
Your Honor, again, could you show on the map or tell us where the new cell is? I know where it is, but would you show everybody else?
Yeah, so the new cell will be kind of right where maybe go up just a little bit there. Right about where your cursor is where the new cell is going. Nope, the other way, right there. So right in there is where the new cell is going, just to the right of the existing cell. Right in this area.
Your Honor, Mr. Mayor, how long will that cell last?
Well, it will last forever.
Well,
but
usable.
yeah, I think we've planned like 8 years, 8 to 10 years to fill it up. Now, what we've seen is some of the material going in there is maybe not going in as fast as what we thought, so maybe longer than that. But we're planning 8 to 10 years before it would be full.
And it's a 10-year permit, right?
Correct.
That goes with it?
Yep. We update it every 10 years. Okay, moving on to the next one. Cleveland, we already talked about that one. Douglas Avenue. Douglas Avenue, we have not started construction on that one yet. Contract has been awarded. We will get a pre-con set up, but the contractor is looking at starting around mid-June to the end of June to start on Douglas.
We'll see work there. The gas company's already replacing them.
Yeah, gas company is there now doing some work ahead of our contract that's going to be happening. Yep.
Can I ask a question on Douglas? I know we had some assessment things that went out with changes. Can we just make sure the whole council's aware of that? Because I know some
Yep.
of us have gotten calls on that.
Yep. We sent out assessment notices when we calculated the final assessments. When we looked at the way the city looks at assessments for corner lots, when you do the street in front of your house and the side lot, you look at what is the longest side of the lot that you would assess. So when we put the final assessment numbers in for the corner lots, that's what happened. We took the long side of the lot, but we're not doing any work on the sides. So that was incorrect. We noticed the error right away, so we sent out a notice to those homeowners with an updated assessment numbers. So the number changed a few days after we had sent out the first notice. Still within the time frame, so we're able to make the change. And so it was confusing, but we sent a separate letter notifying every resident of the change and what happened. And then as well with that, Josiah and I did go out and knock on doors. We were able to get a hold of majority of the people and just explain what happened and why. So we still have a few houses we got to contact yet, but we did go out and visit with all of them. Okay, moving on to the next one, Pebble Lake, Freiburg overlay. That project is a total grant project through federal and state, and we've gotten now approvals of our plans to bid the project, so we will have the bid opening on that project on June 16th. And then moving on to D Lagoon Road, same exact thing with that one. That was another state project. We had to get approval from the state and get some variances on that project due to some of the speed limit out on the road, because it's parks money that we're using, and they look at different design criteria for speeds, and our speed limit is not what their criteria is, so we had to get some different variances. But we've got that all approved, and so we're looking at opening bids on June 16th, so that is out to bid already. Next project is the lead service lines, so we'll be doing some lead service replacement through the state. That will be with 100% grant money. Plans and specs have been approved, sent to the health department for approval. They have until June 30th to get those approved, and then once we have that approval, we'll go to bid with that project as well. And then the city mill and overlay projects, we've completed plans. We're going to be opening bids on that project on May 19th, so that's coming. That's just around the corner. And then the last of the 14 projects is the Dairy Trail project, which we just awarded contracts to the Dairy Trail. So those are, we're working on getting contracts put together, and then get a pre-con set up and see when they'll start work on that. So that was a quick run-through. Questions?
I've got a question on something else, not this. It was on Summit in Ward 3 there. Update maybe the council on that
Yep.
too, because that's probably going to be coming up shortly, I would think.
Yeah, on a project that we did a couple of years, that the city did a couple of years ago, there was some settlement and grade issues with the street and draining on that project. So we are going to get in there and get that fixed. We're going to get a contract over there this summer. We're going to replace some curb and gutter and do some mill and overlay on that project to get it fixed up and draining the way that it should be.
Any other questions?
Your Honor, just, yeah, a couple of them. So, Mr. Meyer and the staff, I hope people call into the city and say, hey, I can't even get around anymore because there's so much construction going on. And that's what I'm hoping for, because then we know we've done the right thing for the constituents of this city, because that's what they've been asking for is a long time, 13, 14 projects. So I think that's awesome. Let's go back to project number 1, Mr. Myers, and you may not be able to answer it at this time. You and I talked about those bike paths. Are they going to go across the road? Are they going to go under the road? Do you have an answer today?
I don't have the exact answer. I've got to call into MnDOT. So when we worked with the MnDOT team, there's like 15 people on the team. So
Okay.
I got to call into the person. He's figuring that out for me. So I'll have an answer here shortly on how that trail is crossing the roundabouts. There was some question on that as to just the safety of the trail to make sure that how that crosses. Is the crossing over the road where the people using the trail will cross over the road, or is there a culvert that would go underneath the road so you don't have to actually cross the road? So I'm
Sounds good. Yeah,
finding out.
I appreciate that. Sounds
Yep.
good. Project number 7, Cleveland Avenue. I had a question from a constituent where I remember the council talking about the sidewalk being right up to the road, which was kind of unusual for us in a residential. But I don't remember the city or the council, and anybody can chime in, about our requirement of that resident to clean the sidewalk. What was our consensus as a council or as a city? I don't remember. Do they have to clean it? Can they get a relaxation for the winter? Where are we at with that?
That's something we need to talk about yet. I've had the same question, and we just need to determine, because in the city of Fergus Falls, we do require the residents to clean their sidewalks. And in this case, it may be difficult for certain months of the winter to clean the sidewalk when it's right up against the curb, because what's going to happen as we move snow off the street, we're going to windrow that right onto the sidewalk, which would be very, very difficult to remove the snow off that sidewalk the entire length of your yard. It's tough enough to do it through your driveway. So that may be an instance that we just talk about and, yeah, relax that for that specific area.
Yeah, do we remember how many blocks that is? It's only a couple, two,
It's-
3 at the most?
I don't even think it's 2 blocks
Okay.
where it'll be up against the
Yeah.
street.
I'll leave that to you and city staff and the mayor to start the discussion.
Thank you.
Is that something where we could possibly work with the school district who's doing commercial snow removal already and maybe do a contract where we contract with them to keep that clear?
Well, it's something too, does the city
that
do
area
any
too,
snow
right.
removal where we could?
I mean, that might be another
Hit
way
that
of looking
spot.
at it to keep it clear, so it's not
Correct.
an onus on those homeowners.
Yeah.
We do a lot of snow removal, none really up in that area.
That's what I was thinking, the school might be closer.
The blade could pull off the majority off the sidewalk, and then park department could go by the sweeper. Yeah, we'll talk it through.
Okay.
Your Honor, one last question. Mr. Meyer, I'm a new guy to the city of Fergus Falls. You indicated on Lake Alice you're dropping the water level. Are you looking for the train? Was there something like a train lost in the lake?
That's new to me because I'm new here too.
Jewelry store lost there in the cyclone.
Pardon me?
Jewelry store, I think it was.
I think
There
if
was
you-
something down there, so.
If you want to know the answer to that question, I think the Historical Society is doing a walk around Lake Alice. So maybe you could join that, and then you could ask
Yeah,
the question
'cause I-
of
I
the
know there
most
was
knowledgeable
something-
person on Lake Alice.
Let me
Or wait,
know
maybe
what-
it was a team of horses. Someone told me there was something on the bottom of this lake.
Let me know what you find. And then I want to go back to Mr. Mortenson's comment about hopefully it's tough to drive around. I disagree with you. I hope it's not tough to drive around because we're trying to keep access to all of our projects when we're doing them, so.
Going back to Mr. Layton about his, we had that Lake Alice completely drained, what, 10, 12 years ago? And they were dredging out there, and of course, we didn't find anything else, except for a boat maybe or something.
Dang it.
So,
I think, you know, one thing that just is worth noting, and I brought that up on Friday at the chamber meeting, was that, you know, ultimately this year we're spending, you know, in infrastructure, there's going to be about $34 million spent in the city overall, and about 74% of that is actually externally funded by the state and the federal government. So, you know, as you know, Councilmember Mortensen said, you know, you asked and we're delivering on infrastructure improvements throughout the community. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, the next item on the agenda is the City Hall cupola bell tower update and plans, and I think call upon Guy.
Thank you, Your Honor. City Hall stood intact for about 98 years until last fall when it was no longer fully intact. So it was built in 1927, and we did discover some rot up in the bell tower last fall, September, I think. And since then, we've had a local architect, actually a HPC member, Scott DeMartelaire, working on plans to rebuild, reinstall the cupola. And question for the council this morning is he's drawn up plans that would include either keeping the bell in the tower or not having the bell in the tower, having electronic chimes, so it would still chime on the hour and the half hour, but then have the bell on display in the lobby here at City Hall. So he's designed it both ways, but we have not submitted it to SHPO to this point, just wanting to get your input on that idea. So.
Question, Your Honor.
Yep.
Could it be a recording of the actual bell chiming, or would it be some kind of AI bell?
It would be something electronic, but maybe we could, well, I don't know how we would get a recording of it actually right now.
Right.
I mean, it's on the ground, but
kinda hard
we
to
could
get
maybe artificially knock it and record it.
I think the big question is, like, structurally, is the building capable to hold the bell, or would we have to reinforce the roof
So,
to
sorry.
support the bell?
Yeah. So it has been looked at structurally by Interstate Engineering, and the concern was that the bell was actually part of the structure and needed to be there to keep that cupola from sailing away. So it's been looked at both ways. So it could be reinstalled, or it could be on display in the lobby and the structure would be fine.
How much does the bell weigh?
1,514 pounds. So we'd have a nice structure built for it to be on display in the lobby, is the thought. But it's,
Do we have cost estimates one way versus the other?
we don't.
Okay.
It would be significantly cheaper, though, to not reinstall it. And ease of construction would be way simpler, for sure.
Your Honor, is it SHPO's decision to make that?
It will ultimately
Right,
be up to
so
them.
I think that's
yeah.
probably we're getting a little ahead of the horse a little bit, so.
They've given some early indication that they would maybe they'd be open to looking at it, but
Anybody got strong opinions either way?
I don't think we're gonna have a choice. They're gonna tell us what to do.
Right,
Yeah, SHPO was
Well-
going to tell us what
right.
we're going to
So I mean, do
That's-
you submit to SHPO with it in City Hall and see what that outcome is?
Have you had a lot of public opinion on putting the bell? I know there's a lot of opinion on the cupola needs to go back up.
Right.
Have you had a lot of, or has city staff had a lot of feedback on the bell one way or another?
it hasn't been widely discussed. So this is first a lot of people are hearing about it.
We did discuss it at the HPC, and they are interested in seeing the bell in the lobby. A lot of them think that would be a really cool way for people to interact with the history of the building.
Right, but I mean, they have the ability to see the
Any other comments?
One quick one, Your Honor, thank you.
Right, right.
This thing has lasted till 1927 to today. I think the cost return there was pretty insignificant, if you will. It's been part of this community forever. Again, unless it's $1 billion to put it back up there and $7 to put it in the lobby, I believe it belongs on top of the city building.
Any other comments? I think submit your application and we'll see what SHPO says. And see how long it takes them to make a decision.
Yeah, will do. Yeah, my hope was to have it reconstructed by 4th of July, but I'm not sure how realistic that is anymore.
All right, thank you. The next item is a snowmobile permit for city trails. Andrew Brenseth.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members, good morning. This is coming after the discussion that the Port Authority had about a month ago and getting the permits updated for Okta. They came and met with me after that and have requested that we update the permits for the city trails as well. In my memo, I said the last time we issued a permit was 1999. It was actually 1991. The Port Authority permits were 99. I found the original city permits. It's 91. A majority of the trail work was done in the 90s. And so the request today is simply to put a new permit in place that encompasses all of the existing trails. If you look at this map, all of the trails are currently covered under the 1991 snowmobile permit, with the exception of the areas highlighted in pink with a marker. So it's really those kind of corridors on the edge of town as people are connecting to and from the city. The police department was instrumental in the 90s in creating the snowmobile routes through town to get traffic, from somebody's home out to these more designated corridors and area or trail areas outside of the city. The one section that you see there on 210, which is kind of the only one that's central on the map, that is actually a state right away, but they wanted to just make sure that they're covered from all angles. So, that may or may not be included, but the city that is part of city limits as well. So that's the request, just simply to renew the permit to include all of the existing trails. There's no new trails being proposed that don't exist today. And continue to be good partners with Okta as they maintain the trails. I am going to have further dialogue with them related to signage and some of those things. Right now, they ask us to do sign maintenance along these trails, which I don't think is the norm outside of city limits. So I'm going to revisit that with them and see if they can take on some of those duties in the city as well to relieve those duties from city staff. But today, all we're looking for is a new permit, and that will cover the existing trails.
And the advantage of this is that the insurance.
Yes, so if, Your Honor, thank you. If you have a permit with a snowmobile club like this, there is state statute that protects the landowner, in this case the city, from liability. If you get into a situation where exchanging funds, those protections go away and you assume some of your own risk related to that, the use of your land. So that's why you see these things happen voluntarily, free of charge.
Thank you. Would somebody care to make the motion?
One question.
Can we get a motion?
I'll make
a motion.
Okay, I'll second.
Mark will make the motion. Laurel will second it. Right, go ahead, Mark.
In addition to this contract with the county for the snowmobile trails, what is the city policy in regards to people just driving their snowmobiles on the streets, getting from home, getting to the country? Have we addressed that as well in this new policy?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Councilmember Layton. Separate from this action, we encourage people, we've signed and we've created, you'll see the map's hard to read, I understand. It's the red lines that kind of go through the city. I think Channing is maybe one of them, but we've created designated snowmobile routes where we're encouraging people that are living in the city limits to use those routes to get to the trails out of town. The police department, like I said, back in the 90s, identified those routes as kind of the least disruptive, the safest travel corridors. So we encourage people to utilize those first. Now, of course, if you don't live on one of those streets, at some point you're going to have to go off of those streets to get home. I would defer to maybe Justin on how they would handle it, but I assume it's, get home as safely and quickly as you can and be smart about your snowmobiles. So.
Yeah, it'd typically be education, and, but if there was, something more serious or egregious, then we would deal with that with a citation, if that's what it needed.
And for the public's interest, thank you. I don't want anybody to have a misunderstanding that I can't drive my snowmobile on the road to get from my home to a trail or to get out of town, just because it doesn't line up with the red line that I don't know about what the red line is.
Yeah. I think if there was a lot of instances of people just going anywhere and everywhere and blazing up and down the streets, it would be the education of here's a map. I mean, I remember as a kid, I once had to talk to an officer about snowmobiles, and I was reminded the best route to take to get to the trail. And it was a learning experience, and then I took that route going forward, but I had a more fun route in mind. But anyway, that's what it would boil down to. I mean, certainly people are able to ride on the streets, but if they're, there's some logic behind where we want.
Oh, absolutely. There's some common sense. Nobody's
Yeah.
ripping up the streets. It's just getting from A to B.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you. Any other questions on it? Right. If not, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is approved. Everybody good with that on the consent agenda? It's fairly straightforward. Right, Al, I think you wanted to bring up flowers.
I did,
red,
a
white,
couple-
and blue.
Couple things. I reached out to the gentleman who takes care of kind of the property over there at the federal courthouse. As we've seen for, I know the last 3 years, maybe it's been 4, there's been a tarp over that north step along with sandbags. I also spoke to Jason in the building department about that also, if he knew this gentleman. And he called me back, the caretaker did. And he said to me, "What do you suggest?" And I said, "I don't know. We need to speak to the council," I think, is one of our procedures. And I need this to be very transparent. Since I reached out to this person, I want opinion on it. I said, we're trying to get our city tidied up. And for one of the nicest buildings in this city, to see sandbags and a tarp on it for the last 3 and some years, I'd like to clean that up, especially being our 250th year as a nation. I think that's something to be proud of. And I would like to extend that invitation to everybody to keep things tidy, make it look nice, especially now between now and the weekend. I think it would be a great thing. There's going to be people in town, a lot of people in town. Let's make a good impression. And hopefully that there's not a lot of free stuff on the curb between now and Memorial Day would be nice. If it is, please take it off and put it back out when you can. But actually, I spoke to that gentleman then, and he said, getting back to the federal courthouse, what do you suggest? And I said, I don't know, but we need to talk about it. I spoke to the mayor a little bit and kind of came up with an idea too, was, maybe at least on the north steps, they could go have a chain with a sign on it that says, please use the other stairs, because those steps are falling apart. I think there's some undermining of some water that's gotten down in through there. And I think it would be kind of a good idea to use some expanding foam, if you can get that in black, to fill those holes and those cracks with some major expanding foam. And then at least that can be cut and look halfway decent until they do get some funding to fix that, which it sounded like they were working on. So that's a good thing. And maybe, I don't know, Guy, if you could maybe look into that or talk to Jason and just kind of proceed with that if somehow if we could do that. I'd really like to see it done by the weekend if we could. And I couldn't bring it up any sooner because I wanted everyone to hear this. And hopefully, I don't know if it would fit in his schedule or not over there, but his phone number is right on the door of the federal courthouse. And Jason also has his number. So thanks. If
I've talked to him before too, and he's told me that, yeah, they're just in line for funding from the federal government for that repair.
Right, but if this would be kind of a little stopgap fix, let's see if we can do that. I mean, it would just look better.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
Thank you. And then from the a number of announcements. So today, sorry? Oh, you want to do the land lease? Yeah. Okay, the land lease. No, that's fine. I was. So, the land lease that Mr. Guy Taylor wishes to speak about.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just very timely. The contractor out on the roundabout and bridge project, park construction, they approached the city about a location to place a job trailer that'll act as a lab for testing their soils. And they asked about 1960 College Way, the old roller rink and Royal Tire site between Subway and Security Insurance. So we talked with them, came to an agreement on $1,000 per month of a lease rental rate, and just wanting your blessing to enter into this lease. They would return the land to the condition it is right now, which is just basically gravel. The county has recycling containers, and the disabled vets have their storage trailers on that site as well. But be a term of not more than 7 months.
I make a motion.
Thank you, Mark.
Second.
Thank you, Jim.
And the recycling can stay?
Yes.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. And the motion is approved. Everybody good with the consent agenda? Thank you. Now I can get back to my stuff. So basically, it is Law Enforcement Day today. So there'll be about 400 little tykes running around the police department parking lot. I think the road outside City Hall will get blocked off for safety. So if your car is parked outside of City Hall, probably from noon onwards, you could find a little note from the police department on it and a ticket. So, but hopefully that goes well. Obviously, as Al alluded to, May 16th is a homecoming parade for Chris Tungseth, which will take place downtown starting at 2 p.m. It's going to follow the Summerfest parade route. So it's going to go, obviously, from Broadway all the way through downtown to the school. The theme of the day is red, white, and blue. Again, supporting that, all-American patriotism that, we want to see. And, again, I can't reiterate enough, if there's signs in the boulevard that don't belong there, we're already starting to see some political signs cropping up. But, let's get them out. Get them out of the city, right away. And if you want to have a political sign in your yard, keep it in your yard. And let's put on a good face. And again, technically, it's not permissible to put stuff on the boulevard that says free. We do, in your utility bills, you got a free dump coupon. Use it for that type of stuff. Don't just leave it there. At 6 o'clock on Saturday evening will be a concert at the Kirkbride. It will follow very much the same format as the Center for the Arts. We encourage, obviously, as many people to get there as possible to show support for Chris. Hopefully the weather looks like it's going to be decent. So, please come out and support Chris in his next part of his journey. May 18th is a city council meeting. May 25th, most city offices and facilities are closed in observation of Memorial Day. Garbage and recycling normally picked up on Monday will be Tuesday and Wednesday. And then May 27th, there'll be a committee of the whole at 7 o'clock. The other thing that I did put on your desk is that Otter Express, this is kind of something that's never been done before in town, but basically, with construction taking place and overall construction taking everywhere, we're going to try an express loop, which will be about an hour to go from the full circle. And there's 14 different stop places, including obviously the clinic, a lot of the apartment buildings, and Aldi's, Walmart, Home Depot, Service Food, Clinic, and as well as obviously the YMCA. It's going to be $1 to get on the bus. You can get on the bus at any of the stops, and you can get off obviously at any of the stops, and then when the bus comes back round again, you can get back on the bus and obviously get back to a stop near where you got on. And the goal is to encourage obviously people to use it, and hopefully then they move on from that to understanding that you can use Otter Express to go anywhere for $2, but this is going to be $1 just to try to stimulate people to use it.
One question, do we have estimated opening dates for the pool and the splash pad? We're getting questions on that.
The pool will be open June 8th, the splash pad on the Friday before Memorial Weekend.
Can we get that on a mic? Can you want to repeat? Someone,
So-
I know we're getting questions.
Yeah, the splash pad is going to be open the week before Memorial Day, and the aquatic center is June the 8th, and the aquatic center is fully staffed. So, yep.
One other thing, for those who want to be in that parade, does anybody know when they line up and where that starts?
Yep.
Lynn? Lynn, make an announcement.
Yes. You do need to register to have a parade or a float in the parade. The registration's online at the city's website. Clara did a great job of putting together a page of all the information about Saturday. Registration ends at 4 p.m. on Thursday. Lineup for the parade is at 1 p.m. and that will be staging on Kabor, coming from
College Way.
And we are very thankful for Eric Johnson, who's run Summerfest Parade for many years, is our main contact on that. So Eric is you're not going to miss him when he's out there. He's going to be in charge and he'll be directing traffic for the parade floats.
There's also going to be a lot of volunteers to assist with parking up at the Kirkbride.
Parking at the Kirkbride will be limited because we are expecting a large crowd. We're planning for 4,000 people. So there will be some limited parking for those that need the disabled. We'll have a parking drop-off area. But otherwise, carpooling is encouraged, and also be prepared to walk some distance, kind of finding your spot and walking up to the concert. But beautiful night, great music, food and beverage vendors out. It'll be a fun night to show off Fergus Falls.
I
It's
know
free.
there was some talk before. Can people bring a chair this time or not?
Yes,
Yep.
do bring a chair. Bring a chair to the parade, bring a chair to the concert.
Yeah, the concert's going to be more like an hour and a half long as opposed to the half an hour that American Idol was wanting. So, as you say, yep, if you in need of resting your legs, bring a chair.
In fact, if you're standing, you're probably going to get booed. So,
Yeah,
so people can see.
Is it now?
Lynn, not if I'm standing.
So, or we're not delaying the open to RTC like American Idol, or not? People can get up there earlier than previous planned.
The concert venue will open. 6 o'clock will be the actual concert itself. We're going to be having a DJ to hype up the crowd prior to that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of people enjoying Fergus Falls.
And there's no ticket charge, right? It's free.
No.
Free of charge. City cannot fundraise, but there will be some opportunities for people to donate to Chris to help him on the next steps of his musical journey.
We were
Not done by the city.
talking about that too. Is there anything like they could do, like they would do concert in the park and just pass a bucket?
There will be some buckets, and there would be a QR code that people want to electronically donate. They could do it that way as well.
Perfect.
With that, there is nothing else. We are adjourned. Thank you.